afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Thursday, April 18, 2024. A little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We're having reverse aging health call Friday night, tomorrow night, around 9 p.m. Eastern. If a man gives way to all his desires or panders to them, there will be no inner struggle in him, no friction, no fire. But if, for the sake of attaining a definite aim, he struggles with the desires that hinder him, he will then create a fire which will gradually transform his inner world into a single whole. One of the things that we have as a people on this planet, it's how we believe in ourselves is what it's really about. It isn't about anything outside of us. It really isn't. We've created that for our entertainment and experience. But the real root is within us. How we believe in ourselves. What level of faith do we have in ourselves? What level of trust? What level of confidence do we have in ourselves? This is crucial. Because, as you're programmed and conditioned as a little baby, and then you grow into adulthood with the body, you're honed and polished and programmed and conditioned. So figure this one out. All of your belief mechanisms aren't yours. None of them. But Jesus had some quotes that were impactful, basically, because he always would talk, whether he's from the Mongol Empire, but his direction was different. Had ye but faith, you could move mountains. And that's literally true. So the Bible is not a metaphor. It's not a story made up to teach us how to be moral beings. It's a straight message of how it is when man lives in the Spirit. And the Spirit is right inside. So many of us look where? Outside. The way to get into the Spirit is not a lot of hocus pocus. It's a very simple, methodical, mechanical set of steps. But they're only available to him who can hear. Let those who have ears hear. Teach not him who does not want to know the whole game. And it's all based on faith. You don't have much faith in yourself. What do you think happens? A lot of things. You create a lot of things in your life that you don't, if you had the faith, they wouldn't be there. What you may not understand is that the whole game that we've all been playing is also based on faith. Now, you have had faith in the rational mind. We're living in a society which is a temple dedicated to the rational man, even though the first commandment says, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have other gods before me. And that statement right there, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have other gods before me. Where do you think that came from? Where? Who invented the 10 Commandments? Where did they come from? They came from man. They came from otherworldly beings. So, we worship the rational mind, its products. We worship our own sense our own data. We've already been functioning on that. We can start to extricate ourselves. And we have got to have heard the first message before any of the keys open anything. And we don't even know there are doors until we have heard the first message. Georgios I. Gurdjieff, he's a Westerner who went on this higher trip, or at least on a large part of the trip, said, you don't seem to understand. You are in prison. If you are to get out of prison, the first thing you must realize is that you are in prison. If you think you're free, you can't escape. All of us on this planet have designed and manifested our own internal prison. Okay? But we don't know that we've created a prison for ourselves. Now, calming the mind, what it's all about, what meditation is for, is to cool you out so you remember, so you see how it all is. I mean, sitting around when you're full of self-pity, a lot of people doing that right now. You sit down in front of your whatever, and you take a picture of your life, and the God within you is constantly trying to get your attention to help you. And most of us are caught up in what? What are we caught up in? Life? And we get distracted. And when you sit, let's just put it this way, when you sit around, what happens? In most cases, guilt. Guilt of what? Why should you be guilty? Of what? We aren't doing anything. Right? You're not doing anything. And working on yourself, not your ego. Every time you work on yourself, you get calmer. You hear more. You sense more. You are more present. And since we're all on this understanding, it's unfortunate that, believe it or not, the majority of people on this planet do not know, do not have a clue that we as a people are in extinction. They don't know. You know. They don't know yet. You ask yourself, what are you offering a child? Not a set of social rules, passing in the night. You're offering a child here and now-ness. The treasure of consciousness, the treasure of awareness. When you don't help other beings out through the illusion, because you're the illusion, what else is there? You ask yourself, what are you doing? Are you doing more of the dance within the dance? Don't we Are we always going to meet on the stage? Don't we ever take off the costumes? You probably felt that. A lot of people felt that when they were a child. We're always on the stage in our costumes. You know, I'm a good child, that's what I am. I know to play. I've been in that good child role for years. I know how to do it. I'm a master at that game. Is anybody home? If I give you the external things, I'm a good parent. You and I can always starve together if we're backstage in the here and now. If we're not in the here and now, no matter how much food we put in our bellies, it's never going to be enough. And that's the feeling of Western man. Not enough. When we look around as watchers, you can see that, right? He's got it all going as fast as he can shovel it. He's got every sensual gratification he can possibly desire, and it's not enough. Because what? There's no here and now-ness about it. Here and now is the doorway to all that energy. Because if you're truthfully here and now, there's no more. That's the way it works. If you ever go to the movies and get so caught up in the movie that you forgot who you were, then the lights came on, and you wondered, where am I? What's going on? Oh, it's a movie. What you've got to do is to create in yourself an absolutely calm center where it's always right here and now. It is just light. It is just isness. It's just the isness. Going to bed, the toilet, up the stairs, talking. It's just isness. Eating. When you meet a being who is centered, you always know it. You always feel a kind of calm emanation. It always touches you in that place where you feel calm. But you can't hustle it. Can't make believe you're calm when you're not. It never works. Everybody knows, you know, it's horrible. You must center. Find that place inside yourself. You're doing it from that place. And whatever your dance is, always right in here. It's all about you. It always has been all about you. The Divine Mother. All of this, which is the whole physical plane. But how many of us even know? She becomes so exquisite, and she's pulling you. And that's really something. All you can do is honor her and love her. Because if you say, wow, lady, I know who you are. You're the keeper of this reform school. That's attachment. Can't have her, can't reject her, can't live with her, can't put her away. Just honor and honor her. Divine Mother. It's the feminine energy. She is the veil. We are all gods. We are all gods within the body. All of us make up the one God. Okay? There is not a God outside of us. And, you know, there's a thing called the Divine Mother Kali. She is my mother. She is my father. She is my brother. She is my lover. She is my sun. She is my moon. She is my child. She is the grass. She is the tea dew. Look at how much she can teach. Her tongue dripping with blood. A circle of skulls around her neck. A dagger in one hand, giving birth in the other. The whole process of nature. Exquisitely subtle. Remember Siddhartha. Who's Siddhartha? Buddha, right? Enlightened one. His journey and the amount of time he spent in the garden of pleasure with a woman who had much to teach. She always had a new thing to teach. She will always have a new thing to teach. Always. Can anyone imagine that a woman is full and seductive as that is not going to teach something? Is not going to continue to teach something? Why do you it's the feminine energy. Why the lower dark matter frequencies do everything they can to eliminate it. If you think that something's happening, like you're working, you're achieving, you're doing something worthwhile, there is much to do, all of that is just the pendant in the ear of the Divine Mother. Or it's a little spot of color on her cheek. Or it's a little bell on her toe. And when you meet a lover like that, sure, you'll want to hang around and experience it. As long as we're greedy for experience, we're going to be around for quite a while. We're not going to elect to go on the crisp trip because that's the end of the experiencer. Her other face is the one you're trying to see. If she is the entire illusion, she is also that which is beyond illusion. And so finally, when you have gone beyond her and become free of her, and you go to beyond the beyond, and you finally cross the great ocean of existence, gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, and you stand on the other side, and you're completely free. Who's there? The Divine Mother welcoming you. And that is the Bodhisattva. It's part of it. You have gone and you have gotten the liberation, and then you are right here chopping wood and carrying water. Our journey is a very interesting one, making it sacred. This chopping wood and carrying water is karma, yoga, the yoga of daily life. The way to do it is, do what you do, but dedicate the fruits of the work to me. The most esoteric way of saying it, another way of saying it is, do it without attachment. And another way of saying it is total renunciation. Now that doesn't mean you go up to a mountain and live in a cave. It means that you renounce attachment even to your own desires. It means you do what you do because that's what the harmony of this universe requires. If I am a potter, I make pots. But who is making the pots? I'm not under the illusion that I am making the pots. Pots are the potter. The potter is. I am a hollow bamboo. All this is understanding of oneself. And you determine the vibrational frequency for yourself. I'm a doctor, a student, a dropout, all the same game. Don't let that offend you. But the external world is all the same. It's all the external world. People often say, I would really like to do this or do that. I'm a teacher now. If I could only finish being a teacher, it's all baloney. You're either doing or you're not. It's a full-time thing that you do because there is nothing else to do. You do it whether you're teaching or you're sitting in a monastery, whether you're lying in bed, going to the toilet, making love, eating. Everything is part of waking up. Everything is done without attachment. Everything. Another way of saying it is, it's all done as consecrated action. It's all dedicated. It's all sacred. In the old days, right? Like many of you, I suppose, you might have been a good oral person. You open the refrigerator and you can't stuff your mouth fast enough. Everything. The stimulus arouses. The response. Here's a real sour pickle. It's to go with something. Have a taste of flour. You can go on the oral trip about everything. Come right out of that tradition. You want to know where you started from what depths. See, that's the food mentality that we get hooked in. Now, see, it connects, right? So when you're in the food stage of existence, which this civilization is, we eat. What's one of the biggest worries on the planet? Gaining weight. And it's basically the oral trip. All of our acts will be consecrated. All of them. Everything. What about the food? Now, in the West, we have a thing. You see, the Norman Rockwell cover, Thanksgiving Day. There's the turkey, and everybody has his eyes closed saying grace, and the kid's hand is already on the turkey, okay? Let's say grace and eat quick. But in other countries, people are taught this thing to say, to consecrate the food. And it seems very funny. And so it's still, we gravitate to the old orality business. And you know, you're finished with your desires at the rate you finish with your desires. At the rate it comes into harmony. You can't rip the skin off of the snake. The snake must molt the skin. That's the rate it happens. Just like anything else. It's the rate it happens. What happens when you try to rush things? Right? You meet another person, and there are qualities in that personality which offend you. And there are qualities which attract you. Some qualities seduce you. Some qualities repel you. Some qualities sexually excite you. Some qualities revolt you. Some qualities interest you. Some qualities fascinate you. Some qualities bore you. It's only when you can see through all that veil, through all your own desires, beyond, instead of walking in the path, that you can see beyond all of that to where the other being is. You will do that when you've gone inside to see where you are, beyond the things in you which attract you and seduce you and excite you and repel you. The journey across the great ocean of existence is a journey inward. And what have we been taught on this planet? The journey is out there. You will find yourself out there. Ever and deeper and deeper and deeper. And the deeper you get in, the more you meet truth. See, we're being run, right? We're being run by an illusion. Our whole lives are being controlled and directed by an illusion. See, when we get to it, we get to a point. Eventually we all will, whether it's this lifetime or the next one, where a physical form allows you to experience the physicality of existence. That's it. What it does. Now, since we are pure spirit inside these bodies, pure God, pure consciousness, however you want to label it, we're drawn to this. See, you'll get to a point when you have fully discovered that you're the God in the body. You total faith, total confidence, total trust, and that you commune with that God that you are all the time. Your ego mind is gone because you have spent so long of a time in the now that the ego mind does not exist anymore. This is part of our journey because we don't need it. We never did. But it serves a good, it's actually a positive thing because it's there for us to master it, to overcome it. And in the now, you realize that everything's an illusion. The ego mind directs us to create. That's what happens. So what we think about, what we focus on, we create. We manifest it. No matter what it is, good, bad, ugly, different, we manifest it. But what drives us to do that unconsciously? Ego mind. So it's there. The purpose is for us to master it, to overcome it. How do you do that? Meditation. Like we do every day. That removes us from yesterday and tomorrow. Removes us from mind chatter, as I've said numerous times. And the ego mind does not exist in the now. It will try to pull you out. And it happens, you'll wander off. But it's not a big deal. You just say, okay, fine, I'll go right back into the now. I'll focus on my breath. How many of us focus on our breath in this country alone? Really, truly. You'll find that very few people do. Why is that? Because they're so controlled and directed by the ego mind. They really are. And they don't know it. To them, it's a natural occurrence. It's just natural. It's the way life is. And the opposite is the truth. You see what happens? What we do is, because we've been in this cycle for so long, that the ego mind guides us and leads us throughout this lifetime, and then we leave it. We come into another body, the same thing takes place. And we do this over and over and over again. Isn't that interesting? Right? So while we're in the body, and here's the real primer to all of it. As children, born, well, we're not really born, but we enter a baby body that's created for us. And so we go into the baby body, and then we start experiencing. Now, as we all know, we don't have any memory. We have residual for about 5 years. And then it's completely gone. And how do we operate? We're programmed. We're programmed by mom and dad, mother, father. We're programmed by sister, brother. We're programmed by friends, strangers, acquaintances. But are we ever programmed with the good stuff? The real good stuff that opens us up inside to explore who and what we really are? No, we aren't. We aren't programmed with the good stuff, the real good stuff. Well, how do you transform that, ascend that? Well, there's going to be a lot of people on this planet making babies. And they must be aware of who and what they are, so that their children, their offspring, can start learning from day one about who and what they are. You see, it's a whole different ballgame. And it's really, truly comes down to every one of us knowing, really, truly knowing who and what we are. Now, there's always something, right, that is said throughout the ages. Seeing is believing, right? Not seeing is believing. Which one? Both. Seeing is believing and not seeing is believing. A lot of people will say, you show me, then maybe I'll believe you. Now, there's something called bhakti. Okay. How does it work? Basically, it means you just love until you and the beloved become one. Pretty simple, isn't it? Seems simple enough. You just love until you and the beloved become one. So let's say that you have no attachment either to life or to death. And if you take on your karma, it is your karma. That you should take on your karma. Simple as that. So you know what? You see? You are the guru. That's what's so far out for many people to understand. You are your own guru. Okay? You are your own grandpa. And that's what you finally discover. You hang out with yourself because there's nobody at home there at all. So to the extent that you're hanging out in the interpersonal sense, and you can be seeing are your own desires. You are a perfect mirror, since there's nobody here. And we're all after, we don't know it. We will eventually taste of the universe, where we are all us, this place. That's the sea of love. And then we begin to live in it. And then we begin to be it. And then we submerge ourselves in it. And then this comes in. We've got to protect ourselves from what? Love? Once we know there's no place to hide, then you wonder who you are hiding from. Here's a story about a holy man who gave 2 men each a chicken and said, go kill them where no one can see. The one guy went behind the fence, killed the chicken. The other guy walked around for 2 days, came back with the chicken. The holy man said, you didn't kill the chicken. The guy said, well, everywhere I go, the chicken sees. So we will eventually experience the highest of the highest high. What is that? Samadhi. That's beyond Kundalini. That's it right there. The extreme freedom, ecstasy, bliss, all there. He's right at the edge, and he stays at the edge, and that's why he stays in his body. If he just stayed in the void, the body after 21 days just falls away. There's no ego left to hold it together. That's the rule of the game. If you're wondering what happens, some beings do that. They go into samadhi. And they've finished with their bodies. And they just leave them. Okay? Remember I've talked about when we have the full-fledged celestial chambers all over the planet, and people, at one time will say, "Oh, I'm ready to leave. I've got other things I would like to do." They will just leave them. And then there are others. There are some very far out stories. There are others who leave a thin, very, very, very thin thread of ego. There's one being who for 20 years was locked up in a cave. And every year, his devotees opened the cave. Once a year, they'd go in to have his darshan. There was no food, nothing. He looked like a corpse except that his hair kept growing and his nails kept growing for 20 years. He was not hanging out with much. He was just leaving a subtle thread to keep in contact. Now that's not an old wives' tale. That actually happened. Okay? Sometimes we will leave the body, but we'll keep just a thin thread of ego to keep an eye on things in the physical plane. And, it's an interesting thing. Those of little faith need long fingernails and long hair to believe it's happening. Lest they see miracles, they will not believe. We have this journey we're all on, and we're moving into the astral story. Okay. We started in the beginning, the Word. The falling away of worldliness. The return of innocence. And that means you're starting to have enough of all that. You see that everything you're going to experience through your senses and everything you're going to know through your thinking mind is not going to be enough. And worldly things begin to appear, like dross instead of gold. Not totally. It begins to happen. It's falling away. The veil falls away like the skin of a snake. The ego thins like clouds until only a transparent layer remains. That's what's happening right in this very now on this planet. And the other thing that's required is the pure seeking, the purity of the faith. There is as much faith in every one of us at this moment as anywhere in the universe. So you're the guru. All of you are the guru. Where there is faith, there is the presence of the guru. He is it all. He is all your impurities. He is all your corruption. There he is smiling at you through them, saying, and this too he sees. He understands total compassion. Total compassion means you are the universe. You are all form. You are the breath. You are the river. You are the void. You are the desire to be enlightened. You are enlightened. That's who he is. That's who, what a guru is. You, all of us, are the gurus. So any concept that you can have of any relation to a guru obviously is a hype. How can you relate to something which is already you? And everything you'd ever related to or could relate to, how are you going to talk about it? I met him. Who? What? I'm going to look for the guru. How absurd. You are it. It's really just another cop-out. You're searching for the guru, right? When you know how to listen, everybody is the guru, speaking to you. It's right here, right now, always here and now. You're right here, again. And what blows your mind is you were here all the time. And it's such a cosmic joke. It's so funny that you're struggling so to get it. At this moment, if you set the alarm to get up at 3:47 this morning, and when the alarm rings and you get up and you turn it off and say, what time is it? You'd say, now where am I? You're here. You're now here. You're here now. Then go back to sleep. Get up at 9 tomorrow. Where am I? Here. What time is it? Now. Try 432, 3 weeks from the next Thursday. By God, it is. There's no getting away from it. That's the way it is. That's the eternal present. Here, right now, it's always. You finally figure out that it's only the clock that's going around. It's doing its thing. But you're sitting here, right now, always. Nobody is going anywhere. Nobody is coming from anywhere. We're all here. We're all here in eternal time and space. We're always going to be here. We're just doing our thing, the divine dance. We're dancing and dancing and dancing. Dance after dance in one body and another body. And we're all here. We're all staying right here. So in this quiet time of the meditation, understand what that means. Ask the God within you. Focus on your breath as it rises and falls. Can you see the illusions? That's what this is about. This is why so many of us don't know who and what we are in these bodies. We're not moving anywhere. The clock is the only thing that's moving. We're always here now. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. An easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. You are a spiritual warrior. Be brave like a great warrior today and find out what your life is like after you've gone beyond your greatest fear. Forget the world you have constructed to keep yourself safe. A life which only feels comfortable and secure is not a very adventurous adventure now, is it? Take a risk, a leap into the abyss. Be willing to do the impossible. When you choose to wake up to the enlightened warrior within you, realize there never was anything to fear. Ah, such a fearless warrior you already are. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here Friday, April 19, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. And around 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our reverse aging health call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on outside or inside you.